Welcome back to Geeks and Grounds, a monthly game club and now bi-weekly podcast where we play games and brew thoughtful conversation together. I'm your host, Jenny Wyndham, and today joining us in the cafe we have co-host, soon-to-be Londoner, and soon-to-be exocolonist. We're going to see where life takes him. I'm so excited to see where life takes him. Joel Thomas. Hi, Joel.
Pleasure to be here. Do you mean in real life I'm going to be an exocolonist, or in video game I'm going to be an exocolonist?
We're gonna say video game world, but in retrospect, I see how. What would it be? It's like the British, they colonized the U.S. Now, in a strange and wild turn of events, many years later, we have Joel going back to recolonize the British.
It's like nature landscape people who like rewild their backyard. I'm like recolonizing London. Is that what's happening?
I guess so. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a really deep month for you, Joel, playing
a lot of thoughts.
This game while preparing the move. Oh my goodness. How is it going? How are you feeling?
It turns out it is a lot of work to move to a different country, and people warned me, but hopefully it'll be worth it. I'm excited for it. It's all been. I appreciate the well wishes from the community, and I'm really eager to be on this new journey in September.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I cannot wait. I'm very excited to hear about all of the little differences that are gonna absolutely get picked up on as you get acclimated. Very excited to hear about the food scene, because honestly, I know everyone says London food is not great, but I think actually London has really good food. I think it's just maybe British food.
This is
the thing that isn't as great.
This is the
depending
distinction.
On your palate. Yeah.
It's like any non-British food is great in London, and the British food is where you're rolling the dice.
Right. But in case you are new, or if you need a refresher, we focus on one game a month, really percolate over it, if you will, so we can dive deeper into the themes, mechanics, and make connections between what we're playing and our own lives. And at the start of this month, and every month, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're moving to a bi-weekly format. So the first episode of every month will be essentially what I call an Indiescovery. It's an episode where we can take a little bit more time to highlight anticipated games coming up, particularly indies, and set up and be a little bit more thoughtful about the discussion coming up ahead when we do our deep dive, which is the second core episode of the month. I'm sure we'll be sprinkling in little episodes here and there as things like events like PAX happens and stuff, but you can anticipate 2 episodes a month with that Indiescovery and then a deep dive format. So this month, we are focusing on I Was A Teenage Exocolonist. It's a narrative RPG where you get to be a part of creating a colony on a new planet. So if you haven't gotten started yet, be sure to pick it up, join the conversation that just got started this month in Discord or via the newsletter, which will be sent out along when this podcast goes live. And you can find out more about everything at geeksandgrounds.com. But first, we're going to hop into the pastry case, and Joel's going to be my guinea pig because with this slightly new format, we're going to be inviting new guests to the cafe since Joel won't be a regular anymore. Joel will be back, I'm sure, eventually, but this is me locking you in now verbally. Sorry.
Yes, please.
But we'll be having additional voices, which I'm really excited about. I actually got confirmation from 3 of them. So Joel's going to test with me a new addition to the pastry case, which is how you're going to meet each month's guest. I've got some questions here that I'll be asking every co-host as they join for their stint. And I'm excited to hear your answers. So the first, number 1, and I have my idea, but I'm excited to see what you have, is what is your favorite coffee shop, cafe order? Your go-to?
I think I'm gonna have to bifurcate this answer, because the true deep in my soul answer is a chocolate chip cookie, ideally with a little flaky salt on it. I love the gooey cookie.
Yeah.
But I have lately been on a big hipster Pop-Tart kick, like coffee shops that
Oh my
make their own
gosh.
like frosted Pop-Tarts. There's one nearby that has this Marionberry Pop-Tart they make, and it is just so good. So yeah, I'm gonna
I
say little two things now.
I know exactly the Pop-Tart that you're talking about. I know exactly the one because they have it at a I think the place they sell it to a couple of shops around the area,
Sure.
and I have been getting this lately as a favored pastry.
It's
just
so good.
So
Layers.
good.
Like when you think Pop-Tart, you think like that kind of shortbread thick crust. But this has like flaky layers to the pastry.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about pastries, but it is something else.
It's so good. Yeah, it doesn't like because Pop-Tarts I feel like really just crumble into dust the moment you bite into them. Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, the chocolate chip cookie, I was like, if you don't say chocolate chip cookie, I will end this podcast right now.
Who are you? Moving to
done.
London, eating not cookies?
You've changed, Joel. You've changed. Oh my gosh. I'm curious, do you have a regular drink order?
I have to have like black coffee every morning or my day is a bad day, but like a specialty drink, I'm a really big oat milk vanilla latte guy. Hot or iced, I got an iced one today.
Nice.
Thought to get a straw for the sound, but
Yeah.
it's the move.
Next week or next episode. I am curious, and this is something actually I know a little bit about, but I'm excited to hear you discuss this. Tell us a bit about your gaming journey.
I was certainly one of those kids where video games was an escape from the pressures of social life, socializing. So, my first game system was a Genesis. I was a huge Sonic fan. I had Sonic sneakers, Sonic birthdays for like years in a row. When McDonald's had the Sonic the Hedgehog toys and the Happy Meal, I would collect those like crazy. I basically thought it was the coolest thing, and Sonic is once again the coolest thing. So that makes my heart happy. We couldn't afford to buy video games though, so most of the game experience that I had was thanks to Blockbuster Video having games to rent, which really was I don't know how many times I rented things like Mario 64, Wave Race 64, but it was a lot. And I think, I hit middle school, high school, went through I played Smash Brothers and Halo, and that was about it phase. Didn't really have a lot of friends that played games, and went to college, met my people again, got to reinvest in games, I saw Okami, I saw Final Fantasy for the first time, games that I had heard of, but I had never seen before. College was that perfect moment of, oh, this is my person. They play these games that I've never seen in person before. I can now I have my world open quite a bit in that time. And then after college, especially during my teaching days, I had just zero energy. Didn't play games hardly at all. I kept up with Mario Kart, and that was about it. And then when I left the classroom eventually and got to work in a corporate job where, who cares? Reinvested in video game life and met you. And I think you open up this entire world of independently made games, story driven games, things that were not on my radar at all before. And I really think that reignited my love of games at a time when I finally had capacity to engage with them. So I owe a lot to you.
Oh, shucks. Thanks. I'm going to put that on my business card.
Ooh.
Just the whole thing. Just I'll put it in tiny font. Be reinvigorated your excitement in games.
That actually could be a great tagline for a marketing business, reinvigorate games or something like that. Yeah.
You're hired, Joel. You'll be the marketing guy.
Oh no.
So if you had then because you've already highlighted a few titles that have been really influential to you. So if you had to pick a starter pack, that was Joel's starter pack of games that define you, in this, you can say in this moment of time
Yeesh.
or all time, but which 5 games would you pick as like the Joel starter pack?
Okay, I'm gonna give you the like. If you want to know me, you need to know these games.
Mm-hmm.
Baldur's Gate 3, Mario Kart 8, 1,000 times resist. I wrote 100 times resist. 1,000 times resist, which is more extreme. Mario 64, Breath of the Wild, and I have to. I mean, I've decided to 100% this game. I'm gonna have to put Expedition 33 on there. Like, we'll see how it ends, but
Ooh.
these games I think have been number one. I've sunk days and days of my life into them,
Yeah.
and they shaped or changed kind of my gaming experience. Like,
Yeah.
it fundamentally changed how I see and experience games. So I'd say
Could you
that's
do like a TLDR for each one? Because I'm really curious, like, because you have such a variety, like between Baldur's Gate, 1,000 times, like Mario 64, you've got a good breadth of like both old and new and single player and multiplayer. So I'm curious just if you had like to one sentence summarize each one for yourself.
oh man, what a task.
Yeah, just no biggie.
I think Baldur's Gate 3 really showed me what narrative games with extremely thoughtful character development can be. And the freedom and flexibility was like nothing I've ever experienced before. So that's that. Mario Kart 8 for me is still the ultimate party game. It's what my family plays when we get together. The social aspect, community aspect, it's just like I deeply enjoy the time that I get to play Mario Kart with my people. 1,000 times resist is the most shocking, stunning, personally and emotionally moving game I've ever played. I've never played a game that changed how I fundamentally engage with the world more than 1,000 times resist. Mario 64, I think, was the thing that took me from side-scrolling platformers into what is modern gaming and the structures of modern gaming. So again, like really changed how I perceived what games could be. I think Breath of the Wild did that for me all over again. It was the first Zelda game I ever played, and it was I think the music, the aesthetic, and the excitement of exploration was something that is only matched perhaps by my last game, which is Expedition 33. Which had a similar impact where the aesthetic, the music, and the story were so just jaw dropping. It just changed how I expect games to be able to be experienced going forward.
Dang. Side question. So have you, after Breath of the Wild, did you go, I think you said you played also like Tears of the Kingdom, but did you go back and play the older Zeldas, like the pixel art, all of that, the Nintendo 64 Zeldas, the Wii?
Okay, this is a really fair and just question. I have played the
There's no wrong
remake
answer.
of Link's Awakening, and I have purchased the recent like Zelda game where you can like make beds and stuff. I haven't gotten to play it yet, but I have it.
Oh, yeah.
So I tried playing the Ocarina emulator on the Switch, and the controls and pace are just really brutal for me and like a modern gaming perspective. And so I have this like deep-seated hope that someday Nintendo truly will remaster and update, like a la Final Fantasy VII, the Zelda experiences. They haven't done that yet, and I think that's probably what I need to get back in.
I think that's fair. I mean, gosh, yeah, I can't imagine, especially starting with a Breath of the Wild. That's like the most epic beginning to a franchise, introduction to a franchise I can really imagine. So that's pretty incredible.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people say that it's not a true Zelda game, like from a classics perspective. So I don't know. It's maybe silly to say that that's my first Zelda game, but I don't know. It is.
I don't think, I mean, it's a Zelda game, and I'm less of I also have less of a personal tie to the franchise. So for anyone listening, take that for what you will. But I feel like franchises and their creators have the absolute right to deviate from the classic formula. And I don't think it makes it any less of a Zelda because they did that. Speaking as a Final Fantasy fan, 'cause that's what people say about Final Fantasy because it originally was turn-based, and then, you know, the battle system now has evolved where it's more like real time and much more of an action game versus the turn-based RPG. So I don't know. I think I am not a purist in that sense. So I feel like that's your first Zelda, and that's really cool.
Oh, so okay, this is perhaps an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Since this is your first time using this format, do you want to baseline and share your own answers to any of these questions?
Oh my gosh, you're the baseline though.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not, I'm not here to twist your arm.
Oh God. Okay. This is, I guess you're not supposed to ask anything you're not willing to answer yourself. Isn't
got
that
her.
okay? All right. Favorite coffee shop, bakery order. I will have to say, my go-to is a vanilla iced oat milk latte for sure for the beverage. And because I didn't used to order chocolate chip cookies, but I will say the shop that I live near has, I think, the best chocolate chip cookies
They're
in
very
the city.
good. They're very good.
They're so good. And so, especially on the days where I know they've recently pulled them out of the oven and they're still warm, I got to get a chocolate chip cookie as well. Kind of a left field thing, but they also have sandwiches and the best pickle in Portland. It's like a house-made homemade pickle that is out of this world good. So shout out to the pickle.
Perfect.
So that's my specific to that shop order. I will always get the pickle there. Gaming journey. Gosh. I mean, I grew up playing games. I was also, because my dad was really into getting technology. Like, he was into that stuff, whether we had the money for it or not. For better or worse, we had access to a Super Nintendo when we were kids. But we didn't buy a ton of games. We got like 1 or 2 games a year because it was associated with like our birthday or a holiday. But we did have like a PC. We had the Super Nintendo, and we got like the Nintendo 64. And I grew up playing the Mario like party games and the Mario sports, like Mario Tennis, Mario Golf. We did a lot of those.
Good.
And then RPGs. I was an RPG kid through and through. Illusion of Gaia, the Final Fantasies, Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross. I always mix up the two. So grew up on the classics there. We had platformers. I was never very good at them. We had like Donkey Kong. I enjoyed being like the second player so my brother could really take the lead and I could just vibe, let him deal with the brunt of everything. But yeah, a lot of my early gaming memories were gaming with my brother. And then starting in middle school is when I started playing more of like Final Fantasy, just kind of on my own, and farming sims, Harvest Moon in particular. Oh, Harvest Moon 64. It was so good. Changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. And then, yeah, kind of like you, college, teaching in particular, that was a time when just games fell a little bit to the wayside. But I stumbled across indie games. And from there on, I just said I must play more of this because it's not... Because I was really tired of Destiny. I was tired of Saints Row, Halo. They're just not my personal taste of games. And that's what everyone I knew was playing. And I think To the Moon was maybe one of the first games that I picked up that was an indie. And I was like, this is something totally different than I remember games being, because it's not even, there's no combat, it's just a story. And yeah, it kind of all ran away from there and hasn't stopped since.
What do you think the I feel like the types of games you play are so eclectic, and I guess I'm curious about the overlap between RPG style games and farming sim style games. Like, those feel like, if you're outside of like maybe first person shooters, those feel kind of like the triangle of gaming's like personalities, and the fact that you have two of them that are such anchors for you. Like, what do you think it is about those types of games that appeal to you so much?
I mean, especially when I was growing up, there's two elements, especially the older RPGs and older farming sims. There's a little bit more of the grind that'll happen. Where in an RPG, you used to have to like grind to get your levels up. Now you can just parry and dodge and it doesn't matter what level you are as long as you're effective. No, that's not true. But it's now there's sort of design that helps you not have to sit there and just run around a field hitting random encounters until you can get to the next area.
Sure.
Farming sims, especially older ones that weren't as optimized, also had a similar idea of grind. Even though it was constantly progressing forward in time, you're always planting something, farming, harvesting crops, like trying to earn up the resources to do the next thing. So I think the element of the grind is something I actually enjoyed. Like I found it really cathartic.
Interesting.
I also love getting super over level or like getting too much money and then being able to coast the rest of the game. Like that is the best feeling, getting OP in a game and then just sailing. I think also farming sims like the Harvest Moon 64, Harvest Moon Back to Nature, what I really loved. And RPGs are also character development centric in a lot of ways, like character centric. Harvest Moon, you get to know the villagers in the town and you get to invest in these relationships with them in a little bit more of a formulaic way. RPGs, they're all about the roles, the Sure. personal development of the characters, the roles, and the relationships between them. And so I think that's, for me, what got me excited. And that's why with indie games, I was really intrigued because a lot of them were just narrative with no overt mechanics a lot of the time. Like, again, To the Moon is the example just because that was the first one I played. And
what a great
I was
game.
like, you just walk and talk and there's no combat and there's no farming or resource management and what's happening, and it's cool. And visual, I got into visual novels after that, and it's similar where it's like you're playing this and it doesn't have combat, and I thought that was really intriguing. But
wow,
yeah.
Like the struggle seems to be like something that you really gravitated towards. That's super interesting.
Yeah, the struggle. Yeah, which I guess makes sense because now I really do enjoy, like, I love playing Metroidvanias and Souls-likes, which often have the element of gotta try again in a lot of different ways. So yeah, I do enjoy a bit of the struggle in games. I think it's fun. Not
Very
too much,
cool.
but a little bit. And yeah, starter pack. Oh God, I really don't. Okay, let's see. I know 1,000 Times Resist is on there. I will have to say Harvest Moon 64, Final Fantasy X. I know I'm going to miss something. This is a moment in time starter pack. This is not an all-time.
Yeah. Written in sand, not concrete.
Exactly. In Stars and Time is definitely one. And Outer Wilds.
Oh, I wanted to answer that so bad.
That can be your bonus.
Okay.
That's the Easter egg one for you.
What a great game. That's another one. I think that was another one that you got me into that like significantly changed what I expect and how I experience games. Like just, wow, what a great game.
I'm really excited. I was actually telling Josh, who was on the podcast the other week, I have now gotten to the point where I think I've forgotten and like my memory has faded enough. I can go back and play it, and I'm so excited.
Oh.
Like, I, of course, remember a lot of the biggest beats, but the pathways to get there are fuzzy now for me. And so I'm really looking forward to, I think next year I might replay it just to embrace that again. Even though I know it won't be the same, that's totally okay. It'll be exciting to play it again.
The rediscovery element on that one is super high. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes. And just to close out this part of the pastry case, I am curious, what is your, and this is a Joel exclusive question because the others won't have the benefit of the time that you have had with Geeks and Grounds. What is your personal favorite or favorite games from your time as co-host?
I already mentioned 1,000 Times Resist really changed and was an influential game for me personally. So like that's an automatic one for me. The one that I don't know if people know just how much I truly loved was Venba. I think Venba was one of the most beautiful and vibrant games I've ever played, and especially from like the Geeks and Grounds canon. I remember just going through that week after week and then talking to the creator and just feeling like the depths and emotional connections that I feel to these characters, to this story, to this mother-son relationship just felt awesome. So I think Venmo is going to be the one that I give the ultimate shout out to from the list.
Awesome. I love both of these games. So yeah, no additional notes from me.
Oh man, I really wanted to. I was really thinking about putting "Thank Goodness You're Here," but decided at the end maybe not.
Oh my gosh, that'll be, again, we have a little sneaky bonus. That'll be your bonus. So before we head into the rest of the program, we still have the rest of the pastry case. I wanted to highlight one bigger bit of news that's happening currently. It is developing as we speak in the game industry, and that is the issue of payment processors, video game storefronts, specifically Steam and itch.io, and this idea and topic of censorship and restricting adult content on these public platforms. It is a huge topic. Again, this started probably near I would say mid-July is when this first really started coming up that I noticed. In mid-July, I had seen a post from Steam saying that they had new rules and regulations that prohibit games that, quote, may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors and related card networks and banks or internet network providers. And in particular, quote, certain kinds of adult-only content. So to sum that up, they essentially with that gave some degree of control over what is on the platform to these banks, credit card providers, and ISPs because of their terms of service and their rules. So I don't know where in time, and I couldn't quite find where in time this happened and aligned with a group called Collective Shout. Collective Shout is a group from Australia who began to come up in the news because they were pressuring payment processing companies to basically remove content that is, according to their words, quote, against objectification and sexualization of women and girls. So they're going around pressuring payment processors to remove this content from places like Steam and itch.io. And the specific title that came up around all this is a title called No Mercy, which was temporarily available on itch before being banned in April. And so this has all come just into this whirlwind of when the ban happened, itch and Valve started de-indexing additional titles that were flagged as not safe for work or adult content, which then also began to flag queer content and content that wasn't considered adult, but just LGBTQ IA+. And so this issue has continued to develop right now because it's also very chaotic and confusing because itch.io in particular de-indexed, so they removed from the search results these games, which removed the ability for these games to reach an audience, get sales. So these sales were impacted. And they did so without telling the developers. So literally the developers woke up one day and said, our games aren't showing up on the itch.io search. And so this is where the sort of the flashpoint came about. At this point, it says it is in the process of reviewing and removing NSFW and adult tag content that violates its terms of service, while also re-indexing gradually some of the games that were de-indexed. But it's still a really messy situation. And yeah, it is incredibly frustrating, I will say from my thoughts at least, to see a group that is using the, I think, benign sounding reasoning of we want to remove these harmful, misogynistic, incest, rape games, but really this feels like a ploy to really just be another safer, think of the children, safe zone kind of alt-right / Christian framework and tactic. Because again, this kind of censorship never stops right there. It always extends beyond into what whoever controls the narrative controls what adult content is. And if they are controlling the narrative and queer games are getting caught in this, that is definitely sending a specific signal. So
yeah, Christo-fascism is a major problem. I mean, even, with this pending move to the UK, apparently I have to start adding my driver's license to an online profile so that I can get on things like Spotify. Like, this is only going to get worse. It's going to spread. I'm so disappointed. I am actually surprised that a money generating body would do this, would consciously make this decision, because it feels like it would hurt their bottom line. So like seeing MasterCard like kind of capitulate to this itch, whatever, like this is obviously like poor historical knowledge for me, because like I just would have assumed that these organizations would have preferred money over bending to these organizations, and it's just, I will say I am surprised.
And this is so this isn't also the first time it's happened. I remember in 2014, 2013, somewhere around there, PayPal had a similar issue with OnlyFans, where like OnlyFans and Patreon, I think both had issues with PayPal. And for a while there were like banning, sexually explicit content to Patreon specifically. They banned sexually explicit content to sort of capitulate to what PayPal was being. I don't know if they were being pressured by a different organization, but it was what PayPal was saying. Eventually, they reversed the decision. Same with OnlyFans. They had they had some issues where PayPal would not pay out or work with like sex workers, essentially, or people who were on OnlyFans. And I think that was also technically reversed, but it's like the damage is done at that point. It's not great when you see that groups can influence these processors in that way, these payment processors, when it's like they should not have any say, honestly, in what we are purchasing, what are we engaging with. Their job is to handle transactions. If anything, platforms, if they have their own things that they want to curate, their own products or their own services that they want to curate, they need to do it on a platform level. If that is the case. I think also, again, when you start talking about censoring sexually explicit content, it not only removes the agency for people to create that content in general, which is unhealthy. It's kind of puritanical, I feel like. Like, you have to accept that, personally, I think, like, to be able to have this space for people to create, you have to understand, like, the censorship is harming the whole versus helping, get rid of one subset that, like, I don't want this kind of game to exist, but I understand that if we have this censorship, it will harm more people than it helps ultimately.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Like, it's to your point, the subtle and insidious nature of this is to frame things as we want to protect children. It's like that's not what's actually happening here.
Yeah.
And that's, gross.
It is. So the other thing I want to flag too, which I think has been really interesting, just looking at what's happening with the discussions online, is both Valve, from my understanding, both Valve and Itch were removing de-indexing, banning games, and having games impacted, but the primary discussion was around itch.io. And I think it's interesting because Valve is a much bigger corporation, and itch.io, again, from my understanding, is like 4 to 10 people who are running this. I don't think it is an excuse, but I think it's interesting to look at how, because I feel like they are more accessible, I think they got a lot of the brunt that Valve didn't get. Just looking at the response online. Maybe, again, it's just, I feel a little bit bad, but at the same time, I also understand it's like if you're running a platform, you have to also just be kind of ready for things like this, and they should have communicated to people before just like de-indexing immediately. But I do think it's unfortunate that Itch, which is a haven, and maybe that's why it also hurt more for people to hear, because it has been such a haven for indie games, to see them getting the full hit of this over a bigger company.
100%. That makes total sense.
But yeah, hopefully what's good to hear is that you can continue to call Visa and MasterCard, continue to pressure them. I will say I have done it twice. The first time was on like one of the earlier days, and I was able to talk through and get through it. The second time I called, they were so adamant and tried to push me so hard to email. And then they just didn't want to talk to me. So, and the person said, it's because we are getting a lot of calls and people are really complaining about this. So
good.
If you are interested, I will double check, make sure that the numbers are still like relevant, that people are still calling. But yeah, I will link that in the newsletter as well if you would like to call and let your opinions be known. But yeah, currently still developing right now.
Man.
Yes. No, it's been intense to see. Like one of my friends, her game is launching very soon, and it was de-indexed, and she's like, great, in the weeks right before my launch, my game is not visible to people right now. And her game doesn't even it doesn't have adult content. Her game just has heavy content, dealing with like body image and like disordered eating, and she got de-indexed. So it's just a mess.
It's infuriating.
But what's not infuriating is some of the stuff we've been engaging with outside of staying up to date on the news and playing Exocolonist and prepping for that. Joel, I see that you are playing a game that I'm very excited to see just what your thoughts are on.
I am a few days into Date Everything, which has been an absolute joy and delight. For those of you who are not familiar with this, basically you in the first like 2 minutes of this game get laid off from a company that you work for, and someone sends you these like AR glasses, and what these glasses do is they personify every object in your house. And then it's like you have a dating sim experience going around your house. And it's just loads and loads of improv comedians and like, smaller platform voice actors and performers that are in this game as these objects. And so it's actually been kind of fun to just try and be like, oh, is this person in this game? Oh, they are? Who are they? Oh, they're the thumbtack. I got to go find that thumbtack. Like, it's just a very fun and very funny game. I have not gotten far enough in yet, but I suspect there are some deeper themes and messages afoot. But just from a delight generation, I think it has been certainly kind of scratching that itch for me.
Yeah.
So big fan so far.
Do you have a bias yet? Like, do you have someone you're really trying to go for, or multiple people that you're trying to go for?
I I'm really interested in the human person that you're kind of chatting with, which
Yeah.
I think is maybe not the goal. But I don't know. She's just very quirky. So I don't know. I'm too early in. I don't want to like overly commit to one of these inanimate objects that I'm
Yeah.
dating.
That's amazing. I love how in a game where the sky's the limit, you could date anything in your house.
It's
You're
embarrassing.
like the person.
It's so embarrassing.
No, you know what? If you like what you like it. That's great. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh man. And also, I mean, I've mentioned this a moment ago, but getting through Expedition 33, I have put so many hours into this game, and like the final marker for the final thing to do has appeared, and I'm just like, no, I gotta get all the journals, I gotta like find all the gestrals, I gotta do all this stuff. And every day I feel like I'm finding like a new thing online that makes me laugh. It's a very punny game, and I didn't realize because a lot of the puns are in French. So like there are these characters that are like little wooden guys, and they have like paintbrush hair, and they're called gestrels. And it's like, oh, these cute little gestrels. Number one, apparently the hair, their paintbrush hair, they are all different types of real paintbrushes, like types of paintbrushes. That's cool. And then the name, when you go to like Dick Blick or a Hobby Lobby, or name your art and crafts store, they have those little wooden figures that you can pose and then you like to help you draw.
Yes.
Apparently those are called gesture rolls. And so to call these wooden creatures gestrels just absolutely killed me. But I didn't know until like I saw a video explaining this. So, you know.
So good.
Yes. I also, following my GF's recommendation and yours, have begun my Better Call Saul journey.
Oh, man.
But also, I see what you have been watching, and I need to talk because I'm halfway through the first episode on this, and we're going to get there. Last thing, I finished The Isles of the Emberdark, the new Brando Sando book.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It felt very different from a lot of the recent like Stormlight stuff and Mistborn stuff. And especially if you are into exploration and the kind of the balance of self-reliance and community, and fighting colonial forces, I think it would be a timely one to read through.
Mm-hmm. I also just finished Isles of the Emberdark. Loved it. Yeah, super quick read, super like just solid read. How does he write so much, and how does he write so well? I don't know. And at this point, I'm just not going to question it
I don't
want to
know. Don't tell me.
It's fine. I just can live in bliss, and as long as I get the books, that's all that I care about at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, really happy to have another, which I totally forgot that the book was coming out.
Me too.
And then I got like the email I think it was like July 1st. I think it was like early July. He was like, oh yeah, here's the PDF. The physicals come in later. And I'm like, what? What is this? So that was cool.
Same experience.
Yeah. I have been listening to, Hayley Williams of Paramore fame dropped a bunch of singles. Have you listened to them yet?
No, I can't find them.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, remember how you said a second ago, Spotify sucks. If you're subscribed to Spotify, if you can find a way out, do it. I have transferred everything over to Tidal, Tidal. I am loving it so far. Yeah, and I really hope that they don't pay for weapons and horrible military tech as well. So far, I don't think they do. And they have all of the singles available. So if you go to Tidal, you can listen to it there. I think there's probably on YouTube now at this point. But they're all outstanding. True Believer is the highlight of all of them for me personally. It is the first one that I wanted to listen to on repeat. Really good, really sharp. It's about growing up in the South and seeing it just go down a bad way. And yeah, the lyrics, there's one line in there that just gave me goosebumps. I might just look it up because it was just like, oh, okay, Haley. So True Believer is the song, and okay, the line. They say that Jesus is the way, but then they gave him a white face, so they don't have to pray to someone they deem lesser than them.
Flowers, Haley, flowers.
Okay. And so I heard that line and I was just like, all right. The whole song is very good. But yeah, that's one of the songs on repeat for me today is True Believer by Haley Williams. Also The Subway by Chappell Roan. It's giving me the Cranberries vibes, honestly, like a little bit. I haven't listened to it yet. It's really nice. Like the ending of it is what gave me Cranberries energy. But yeah, so let's see. True Believer, The Subway, Play. I have been playing a couple of games, but two I want to highlight. The first, shout out to Janet Garcia, Game Onesis, who's on the Indie Council with me. She's the one who put me on to this game. It's called And Roger by Teary Hand Studio. I think the line that she told me that made me realize I had to play it was, "It's a fucked up Florence." And for anyone who's played Florence, yeah, Florence is a game that's super heartwarming. It's a little bit heartbreaking, but at the end of the day, it's this like beautiful game about falling in love and falling out of it and falling back in love. And Roger messed me up in a really powerfully done way, but it is a game that I would say is extremely heavy, but very good if you're okay with the subject matter. I don't want to say it here because I think if you are interested in a game that is narrative with no or minimal like reading, minimal words, where the gameplay and the motions that you do within the game perfectly match sort of the feelings and the actions of what you're doing in the game. Kind of like Florence, if you've played Florence, this is a game for you to check out. But it does get really heavy. I was crying, which very early on, I think you can predict what's going on with this game and the heavy topic that it's dealing with. Probably 3/4 of the way through chapter 1, I figured it out. I guessed what it was. And from that point on, just tears the whole time, just crying the whole time. 'Cause it's really beautifully done, but it is just hard. So I would say if anyone listening or subscribe to the newsletter or anything just wants to know and have more insight without having to look it up, feel free to message me. I will tell you in however much detail you want. I don't want to be cagey about it now. I just also don't want to ruin the experience for people who want to go in with minimal knowledge, because I do think there's value in that.
Yeah.
But really good. Honestly, up there is one of the best games I played this year.
Wow.
Despite it wrecking me. Absolutely
it looks
wrecking me.
Terrifying based on the description on Steam. So
yeah, I will say it will feel like a horror game at first. It is not a horror game, but at the same time, it is like existentially a little bit terrifying. But it's not a horror game. So
got it.
Yeah. And then shout out to Insert Disc 5, who just launched for free. This is a free game. This game will end in 205 clicks. This game is true to its word. It ends in 205 clicks. It takes like 10 minutes to play if you read slow. I highly recommend it. Super queer. It's about a supervillain who has the day off and is forced to not do supervillain things. And that is the selling point. So it's called good. This game will end in 205 clicks. And again, the other game was And Roger. Now, I want to hear what you've got to say about Better Late Than Single, which is the show that I've been watching currently on Netflix.
Okay. I Because I'm working these kind of like weird hours, I fell asleep halfway through the episode last night, the first episode. Okay, Better Late Than Single, a Korean dating reality show.
Yes.
Okay, there were a lot of moments in the first episode that have felt extremely problematic to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm kind of really hoping that after the first episode, where you kind of are getting the intro to these characters, you get to move away from some of that stuff and more into the dating element of the show, because like it seems like it kind of has like the dating side of it has kind of love on the spectrum vibes to me in some ways. But my God, like the idea is like you have a handful of singles that have been, for the most part, forever single, have never really like dated or had relationships. And the premise is that they've been coached up for some period of time, like exercise, therapy, speaking lessons, things like that. And now they're all being put on this show. And like, I love this concept, but some of the messages in the first episode are so damaging. Like the fat phobia, the like kind of denial of some like intrinsic parts of who these people are, and like shame of that is like very hard to watch. And so that's kind of where I am. Again, I'm halfway through the first episode. It sounds like you're further. Like, what's the story here?
I'm probably, I think, about halfway through. And you are absolutely right. I think this show is, for better and for worse, is very honest about, I think, what at least this type of public who often maybe watches this kind of show, or maybe the type of people who get on a dating show, in terms of just general societal like expectations and standards, they're very open about it. And I think in a not positive way. Like you said, the fat phobia, unfortunately, that doesn't really go away. Like there's this one character, he's kind of like the butt of the joke whenever he's around food. And that is just like not cool. And I honestly hated it because while he's a really obtuse guy, he didn't deserve that. And Korea is a very like, generally, there's a lot of fat phobia in Korea. I would say that stuff, not cool. What endeared me more to this show and what kept me watching were the dating parts. Because once you start to get to know the characters, there are some folks, honestly, almost all of them are really refreshing because they are not celebrities. They are not previous reality stars. They are very real people. And as they interact with one another, it is refreshing in a lot of ways to see them trying to navigate this dating situation and stay kind to one another, because I think they're all aware that they're on the show for the same reason, and they're all still trying to be considerate of one another. And you see these friendships form. Like there are these two women who they become fast friends despite their like very opposite personalities. And so you see some of these things happen, and I think that is what endeared me to the show, despite a lot of the problematic stuff that honestly every reality show has in some way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so, like, if I had to give this show a rating, I'd give it like a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. Like, it's definitely fluff, at least as far as I am. I don't know by the end if anything changes. But it is nice to see just some of the personalities on the show and the ways that they interact with one another. And I appreciate the moments of like, there's a scene where these two couples are on a double date, and the guys honestly completely start focusing on each other in terms of competition. And they start like trying to one up one another instead of paying attention to their date. And that felt like a really real moment. Similarly, there's like a roller skating date where the guys just aren't aware of how to interact with the women on the date, and they just kind of like skate around in silence, and it's just kind of painful but also really comical, because it kind of reminds you of the first dates that you go on where you're just like, oh man, I really biffed that one. So out of all of the dating shows, like, I think it, for me personally, is a little bit better than like the like Ultimatums or
Sure.
Love Islands. I'm not a fan of those shows, really. This is a little bit better quality.
I just like find that I am genuinely already like cheering for these individuals, like
Yeah.
in a way that I have a really hard time with a lot of like Western reality shows where it's like I actually hate all of these people. Like I saw that the reason that I started was I watched a TikTok where there were like two people in a car and their pinkies touched.
Oh my God. Yeah. I know the moment you're talking about.
I saw this and I was like in a minute long clip, I was freaking out. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like I'm invested in this already somehow, so I got to try it out. So I'll keep it going. It's good to have your perspective on it.
Yeah. I think, I would just say, unfortunately, you will see the commentary continue from particularly like the panel. I think, again, it's like they mean well, but I think they can be really cruel in some of the things that they say, just for the sake of this panel sort of commentary. But the people on that show are overall really sweet. And some of the moments are, it's like just genuinely some of the funniest and heartwarming and endearing moments I've seen on TV.
Hey, watching a show where you get to hate on the hosts and cheer for the real people that are not celebrities already is feels like punching up. So I can get down with that.
Yeah, exactly. I like that framing.
Yeah.
I think that is it. So again, we were just talking about better late than single. For anyone else who is reality trash goblin, like I guess both of us, because you're watching it too. We're all reality trash goblins together. And just to highlight, because I'm sorry, I'm forgetting who commented, but one person commented just to reiterate things verbally so they can catch stuff. I'll say mine and you can say yours, Joel.
Yeah.
The games I played were and Roger, and this game will end in 205 clicks. Better Late Than Single was the show we just talked about. I mentioned True Believer by Hayley Williams as the song that I'm really listening to, and The Subway by Chapel Roan. And then Isles of the Emberdark by Brandon Sanderson is the read selection.
And I have been playing Date Everything and Expedition 33. I have just started, finally, Better Call Saul. And I also just finished reading Isles of the Emberdark.
Nice. And as always, if you would like to, you can subscribe to the newsletter where there are links to all of these and the articles that we referenced for our news discussion. And you can subscribe to the newsletter by visiting geeksandgrounds.com. So this next segment is brand new. It is the Indiescovery. So it's the beginning of the month. We're highlighting some of the releases that are coming out. Just to make sure they don't fall off the radar and at least can get on your wish lists so that you can pick them up in the future if this is something that piques your interest. I have 3 that I wanted to mention. The first is called Off. Comes out August 15th. It's by Mortis Ghost and Fangamer. It's on PC and Switch. The Steam description is, I am the batter. I've been entrusted with a sacred mission. One of the most influential RPGs of the last 20 years is finally coming to Steam. You're taking control of the batter as he seeks to purify an uncanny and hopeless world haunted by specters, guided by a cryptic, grinning cat called the Judge. This game, if you are an Undertale fan, if you are an Earthbound fan, this is a turn-based pixel art, weird, eclectic RPG, and I'm so excited for this game. I played the demo, loved it. I cannot wait for the release.
This is new.
Yeah, apparently it originally came out like 2015. It came out a long time ago, and it never was launched on an official platform. And so this is like a super cult classic, and they are officially releasing it for the first time, which is really exciting.
I see that it's the same artist that did Journey. It's definitely giving Journey vibes. And man, anything that's...
I think you're looking at the wrong... I was talking about Off.
Oh, no. I scrolled to the wrong one.
Yeah, sorry. I started with the earliest release date.
Apologies. Apologies, everyone. Spoilers ahead.
I was like, definitely not the same artist.
It's like, everything you're describing sounds so cool, and it's not what I'm seeing here, but maybe this guy's called The Batter for some reason.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. No, this is definitely pixel art. it's beautiful in its own way. It's not meant to be beautiful in the way Journey is beautiful. It is like weird.
Gotcha.
looking.
Yeah, seeing the Undertale now. I've clicked on the correct link this time.
Yes, yes, yes. I will hop over to the next title, which is what Joel was looking at. Sword of the Sea comes out August 19th. It's by Giant Squid. It's coming to PC and PS5. God, I'm so excited for this game. The Steam description says, surf across magnificent waves of sand and glistening waters on an epic quest to restore a lost ocean. It's from the visionary artist behind Abzu, The Pathless, and Journey. Sword of the Sea is an atmospheric surfing adventure with fast movement inspired by classic skateboarding and snowboarding games. And Joel, it does look beautiful. I agree.
I'm shocked. Like, I didn't know this was even on like a glimmer in anyone's eye, and this looks stunning.
Yeah. Well, and did you ever play Abzu? I know you played Journey.
Only the demo. I haven't played the whole game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, their ability to create emotional scenes with no text and just like music and color, I think are just second to none. So I'm very excited to see what's going on. I'm also excited to see how it differentiates itself, like beyond just the fact that you're like on a hoverboard, surfboard kind of situation, because it does draw very heavily from the previous works. And so I'm excited to see what ends up being, the differentiator, because I would like to see that from this studio.
Yeah, makes total sense.
And then the last game I picked out is called This County. It's coming out August 21st by Crinkle Cut Games on PS5, Switch, Xbox, and PC. This is where you're managing your own discount supermarket. So fun. And you're going to get caught up in small town drama. You can organize and plan your shop's layout and strike lucrative trade deals as you expand your secretive aunt's business empire. Selling more frozen fries will surely heal this broken community, right? This one does have a free demo, so if you want to just give it a try, you can. I am so excited for this. I ended up, because I got, I saw the demo, I downloaded it, and I decided I'm actually just going to wait until launch. I'm that stoked, and I'm that into what's the concept of this game, so I really hope the actual play experience delivers. But this idea of, like with farming sims, with these games that you're coming into a community, they don't often talk about like what does it mean to like economically disrupt a community, essentially. Like that's kind of what you're doing in a lot of the farming sims. And this one, you are managing a supermarket that seems like it's doing a little bit of economic disruption. And so this idea of taking a cozy game setting and mechanics, or what we associate with cozy game settings and mechanics, exploring a potentially uncomfortable element where a lot of these cozy games use very capitalistic goals and means to set up your cozy, environment, and seeing how that impacts the community and taking the story from there. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see what happens.
It has a very cool style. Like the style looks kind of like overcooked to me. I'm really curious to see like how fast paced it is versus how much you get to really dig into that. The community gossip is the thing that I'm probably most intrigued by that description.
Oh yeah. Yeah, me too. I'm also curious again because I have stayed away from the demo, but how the balance is of you're running the shop, doing a little bit of that fast work, managing things versus exploring and talking to people and striking business deals apparently.
Mover shaker.
Yeah. But what about you, Joel?
So coming out August 7th is Tiny Bookshop by Neoludic Games and on PC. This one we talked about for Steam Next Fest, and I played the demo then, really, really enjoyed it. So the description is, leave everything behind and open a tiny bookshop by the sea in this cozy narrative management game. Stock your tiny bookshop with different books and items, set up shop in scenic locations, and run your cozy secondhand bookshop while getting to know the locals. I thought this, in terms of like exactly what we were just talking about, the pace of keeping your shelves stocked versus getting to know the people, I thought in the demo the balance was really nice. And so I'm curious to see if that keeps up when you get into the full game. But this is definitely one to look forward to. A really cute game.
Yeah, I'm super excited because when I played the demo, it took me a second to realize all of the books that you're stocking, or at least from what I remember, all of the books that I stocked were real books. And so what's kind of cool as a player is playing it and kind of noting for yourself, like, oh, I kind of want that book. Sounds really interesting. Maybe I'll like put a little notepad next to me and actually add to my TBR. So I'm excited to see also like the full game. What books does it include? And the story also seemed to talk a bit about like the end of the demo. From what I remember, there's like a festival or some event, and it seemed like there was something going on in the town in terms of like the college losing funding or some event losing funding. And so I'm excited to see what happens with the story for that title as well.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm eager for it. It looks very very aesthetic, very quaint, and then just enough pace to make me want to like keep playing.
And then just to shout out again, I put it here on the list, even though I just talked about it, so I'll be very brief. But And Roger, it's came out in July, but since we didn't have an episode last week when it came out, I really want to highlight it again. The Steam description says, it was a morning like all others until she realized her dad wasn't home. In his place, a stranger who speaks nonsense and insists she takes her medicine. Who is he? Where is dad? So that is the Steam description for And Roger. Again, extremely heavy, but extremely good. So that is that. Joel, you're just like shaking your head.
The description is just so creepy, and it like reminds me of the nightmares that I had when I was a child. Like that, like, who are you? This like other mom kind of thing.
Oh my gosh,
like,
yeah,
I don't know, psychological.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, yes. So that is it for the pastry case. We're gonna now move into this month's brew. So again, today we're not going to delve into the game itself, so it will be totally spoiler free. What we're going to do is set up the scene so that next week when we have our discussion, you've hopefully, or not next week, in 2 weeks when we have our discussion, you've had the opportunity to play and think about some of the things that we've chatted, help set you up for success to engage with the conversation in Discord. And if you'd like, send in a message to the newsletter or voicemail to the podcast, and we can share some of your thoughts here if you'd like as well. Joel, did you want to do kind of like the summary, the high level info about
one last
this game?
Summary? Wow.
Yeah.
I Was a Teenage Exocolonist came out or is coming out August 25th, 2022. From Northway Games and Finji. Spend your teenage years on an alien planet in this narrative RPG with card-based battles. Explore, grow up, and fall in love. The choices you make and skills you master over 10 years will determine the course of your life and the survival of your colony.
No big deal.
It's
just the survival of you and your colony.
The scale of 10 years, I am like, so I haven't played this. I didn't know anything about it prior to the, like, honestly, just clicking on Steam pages. And the idea of a game that spans that long and like your decisions are affecting an entire community. What a brilliant concept for a game.
Yeah, brilliant, but also it's a lot. And so I'm really excited to see as we delve into it and discuss it, you know, how do we find this game encompassing essentially a lifetime? How do we feel they do? What do we feel like is done really great? What do we feel like we could have seen more of or less of? You know, it is ambitious for sure, but I'm really excited to talk about it because I think even though it may not hit in every element, I think there is a lot of really good discussion to be had because the themes this game brings up. And this game, speaking of, you know, why are we playing this game? Why was this selected? This is a community selection. So at the end of last year, we had our ranked choice vote. People nominated games and then voted on the games, the top games that were nominated, and this was one of the winners. So this was a game selected by the community, which was really exciting. I played this, I think when it launched. I did not finish it though. I had a save file when I brought it back up. I had a save, but I don't think I made it all the way through my life. so, so I started fresh, and I will say, just as a little heads up for folks, anticipate about 12 hours, I think, for a full main story experience. But this is a game that may benefit from essentially 2 runs. And you'll know what I mean once you get into it and you start playing. I think it'll become pretty clearly apparent in the first hour or so when you play. But if you'd like to get a really all-encompassing view of this game, maybe anticipate double that time, or at least like 20 hours, so you can start maybe a second run to see and compare and contrast some of what's going on. Some of the themes we'll be exploring. So I think coming of age, identity, that stuff is going to be pretty apparent. You're going to start as a 11-year-old, I think, 10 or 11-year-old. You're going to work your way up, through your 20s. Coming of age is going to be huge. And you're going to have a whole cast of characters that are going to grow with you. But the question that I'm really excited to talk about is the one of, if you are given the opportunity to create a world or create a community, this idea of what would you ideally try to create, but then based on the realities of what happens, what do you end up actually prioritizing? And I'm curious, like, when you're thinking of an ideal community, Joel, like, what are you thinking of? Like, if you had a chance, start totally brand new, planet in space.
There is a book series called the Monk and Robot series by Becky Chambers. They're like very tiny novellas, and it's kind of a post-apocalyptic in some ways world where humanity has found balance with nature, and the communal aspect has led to a degree of harmony where instead of everything being driven by kind of competition and earning money, they use I think it's called plebes or plebs or something like that. And it's essentially like it's almost like karma points. It's not this, obviously, like, there's a lot of myths around how we used to be this barter society, is whatever anyway. It's not real. But it's almost like if you imagine a world where everything runs on favors and an assumption and a reality where people do return those favors. And there's something really beautiful about it. And like, there's still drama. There's still like interpersonal toil and conflict, but it is truly interpersonal. Like, society itself is not creating that toil. And so I think like finding a way where community is central, where we are driven by reciprocal favor giving. I'm not sure what what the verb of that is. So that we can, I don't know, work towards a more collective future is something I'm super, I mean, obviously that's like the dream for me, at least. I don't know. How about you?
Oh man. Like, yes to all of the above for what you said. I think this idea of, the reciprocal nature and the communal nature is something that I just conceptually would really love. I think this idea of, like, it's hard to not think about the ways that we're destroying the planet. I would love to, if we had the opportunity on a whole new planet, like, try to set up the community for success in terms of sustainability, where it's like, I think one of the stresses that I have, even thinking about the ways that people are thinking about space now, and like, oh, what if we got onto a different planet and we can like get those resources? I'm like, we shouldn't be doing the same thing on other planets that we do here. We shouldn't be extracting resources the same. And so I think, in addition to sort of the social and communal nature that you mentioned, thinking about different ways, like fundamentally changing the way we interact with the natural world and changing our expectations of what it means to gather resources and wealth and use them, and changing our concept of what wealth even looks like. So Yeah, I think those would be the priorities. And I'm trying to, if you can see my hand moving, it's because I'm trying to stop my cat from stepping on my keyboard.
So I here's like an interesting point of connection.
Mm-hmm.
I, as a part of my onboarding with my new team, we did this like personality test. I don't remember what it was called. I didn't super love it, but there were like 10 personality types, and it was like what motivates you as a person. And it's like altruism or power or success or money, or it was like a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And what was so fascinating is I was like, and I remember talking about this with one of my new coworkers. I was like, who would ever answer power? Like you would lie, right? You would say something else. And the person who was like running the session overheard us.
He was like,
and she goes, oh, you'd be surprised. Actually, a lot of people are motivated by power, and it's not a positive or a negative. And same thing with like money or whatever. It's just it is what motivates them. And the third person in our group said she was motivated by power and was like present for that whole conversation. And it was just like,
oh, interesting.
Flabbergasting. Like we work in education. Like it was so shocking to me that someone in this industry would be your primary focus is exerting power, and that you would own it and not see it as a negative thing was just like, oh,
I'm curious though, how was power defined? Because power, I can see it in a very sort of like not great way. I can see it in a very negative light, but when you frame power as like influence, for example,
sure.
I could see someone potentially, it's like the idea of influences versus control, I guess. Like, are you treasuring this ability to be able to enable, like, are you treasuring the ability to enable things to happen because you have the influence and like charisma from folks, or are you wanting the ability to control and mandate things? I guess I'm curious.
Yeah.
Do they have a definition for what power was?
Yes, and I don't remember what it was, so I can't report back. But what I can say is it was the word plus the definition that made me and my partner be like, who would ever own up to this?
Interesting.
So, but I mean, what it speaks to is like, as we're talking about our ideal planets, and you and I are kind of on this like utopian, like, oh yeah, based on favors and community or whatever. It's like there are many, many, many people in the world for whom that is not the ideal fresh planet experience. And like a fresh planet experience is one where like I can have more control over my environment or whatever the thing is. But like I do want to just like throw a plug in that getting to explore different motivations as we play this game is something I am really interested by. And I think, especially if you're like afraid I'm being judgmental of you listening to this podcast, if you too are motivated by power, like I think it was a moment of awareness for me that I do have some of these biases that like some people's motivations are intrinsically bad or good or whatever, and that maybe that is not a fair starting point when having these conversations. So,
well, I think also about like, because one of the first things we do in the game is sort of define our personality type, and the personalities we adopt in the game kind of help influence also the roles that we take on. And I think about like, if I were in a community starting a new colony on a new planet, what role would I even want? And it ranges from, do you want to be the leader of this community? Do you want to be the sort of person who oversees the development and the well-being of everyone, to do you want to grow the food? Do you want to handle the animals? Is security a need that you're thinking about, and like protection, whether from one another in terms of mediating disputes that may certainly will happen because people are human, but also, are there any, because we don't know, for example, are there any other beings on this planet? Are there other living things on this planet? I assume probably, otherwise we wouldn't want to go there. And I think about the ways that you do need people who prioritize different things in these communities.
Yep.
And so to your point, just because we wouldn't prioritize power, it doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. It just means if we were starting this community, we might need to look for someone else who prioritizes something a little different, because then we have our bases covered.
Yeah. And I think, that was the point of this onboarding exercise, was like, has realization. And what I will say is, among the 7 people that were participating, there were only 2 of us that were motivated by the same thing. Everyone else, as they looked at those definitions, was motivated by something very different as their like primary identified motivator.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty cool. And like, we didn't know, like, this all came out after we had taken the quizzes and everything else. So it does speak to what you were just saying, like something about the balance of a community.
That's cool. So you're just saying you have like the best work team out there, is what you're really confirming?
God, wouldn't that be fun? As if I move to a new place and my whole team is outstanding. I'm going to lean into that hope.
Yeah, and we'll save this and play it back for them, actually, after you're there for a little bit.
Oh, that's very good.
One other thing I am excited about in terms of discussion, and I know a little bit about what will happen in the game, or at least some of the ways that this may be approached in the game, and you don't, because you haven't started it quite yet. And I haven't finished it, so I don't know where it's going to go. But I think what's really interesting also is this idea, kind of like what 1000 Times Resist brings up, is like, what do you carry with you? Literally, this is a generational game. You are a new generation starting. And while you're a child and you don't necessarily have the agency to set everything up from scratch, because you come in and you have parents in this game, and there are leaders and elders and aunties, and you are at their sort of, not beck and call, but you are beholden to them to a certain extent for a lot of your childhood. Like, even with that in mind, what are you going to choose to listen to? What are you going to choose to disregard as you start to come into your own as a young adult? I think is going to be really interesting. I don't know. I'm excited to see what we both end up choosing and what everyone in the community ends up choosing in terms of what they listen to and what they don't, what they choose to pay attention to, what they bring from the old times on regular old planet Earth.
I wonder how much this will map to my Baldur's Gate 3 run. Like, how much you carry those same types of habits with you game to game when you have a tremendous amount of like narrative freedom. For me, I always really struggle doing villain runs. Like, it's like, I just feel so guilty doing it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So I'm curious about, what patterns I can observe from other games with this level of freedom for this one.
Yeah. Well, and what I think is interesting is I unlike like Baldur's Gate, for example, where there are definite like evil, villainous choices you can make. From what I can recall, I think it's like there isn't let me play a good character, let me play a bad character. It's very much more, it's more about the roles that you want to take and what you find more interesting to pursue within this community. So I think that's what makes it a little bit more interesting and exciting versus just like, are you going to do the bad run? Or are you going to do the good run?
I did the bad run.
So yeah, I think there are, of course, many other themes that we're going to discuss as we go through the game next week. But it's just going to be really interesting because this is a game about what happens when you have the ability to create what hopefully will be a fresh start, ideal world. And I'm very excited, especially right now when we're at a point in time where I think a lot about what can we do to shift the path that our world is on. I think it's going to be a really fun discussion that we have together on this.
Yeah.
Really quickly, there is a website. I will link it in both the playthrough guide as well as in the newsletter, but there are some content warnings that the developers chose to share. I'm going to read the high lines. They go into much more detail on their website. So you can take a look on anything that may be of note to you, but you can anticipate major and minor character deaths, children in peril, animal cruelty and death, implied sexual content, drugs and alcohol, bodily harm and grossness, mental health, trauma, domestic abuse and traumatic global events. So it kind of encompasses a lot. I will say this game isn't, it is illustrated, so it's not a hyper realistic style. And I will say it's not, from my experience, overtly graphic in any of its depictions. It's more of like the narrative content that you're going to be exposed to. So, yeah, but again, they go into much more detail on the website, exocolonist.com/content_warnings.php. But again, I'll link it all in the documents. Anything you're especially excited about for this one, Joel?
I am mostly curious to see how this game spans the years. One of my favorite TTRPGs is The Quiet Year, where you're just building a community from scratch.
Yeah.
And everything's just like cause and effects. I am curious to see if there's like some similarities between the two. I just love the idea of taking a blank slate and seeing how it grows over time.
Yeah. The Quiet Year, I think that one is it's not a solo TTRPG. That's a multiplayer one where you are working with other people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you all like kind of take turns choosing which cause and effect you're going to be like playing through at different times.
Yes. Man, I remember a friend telling me about that game and we never got around to playing it. And I really, now that you've brought that up, I'm including that in the pour over resources right now because that's a great shout. And I think it was by Buried Without Ceremony. As we close out, I wanted to highlight these are all pour over links. Pour over as in pour over coffee, but also we hope that you can pour over them as you engage with this game. Oh, hey.
I don't know that I ever got that pun before.
I think I explained. I remember telling you about it.
Do you have to keep explaining this to me and it just like falls? Yeah. It's pouring over my cup and like I can't hold it. Oh no!
It's such a deep. It is a deep cut, but it brings me satisfaction partially because of how deep of a cut it is. But you know, pour over coffee, you got to reference it somewhere. Cafe theme.
Flawless.
So with the pour over resources, again, these are things that we have collected. We've mentioned today in the podcast as we've discussed our anticipation for the title. It's stuff you can read, stuff you can engage with, like an anniversary dev stream, because this month is also the anniversary of the game, which is very exciting. And again, books you can read, articles, a game you can play with The Quiet Year, and things that we think could either supplement your understanding of the game or expand it, where if you are interested in this kind of topic, it helps you just engage with more that's similar. So all of it will be linked in the newsletter. Again, I wanted to highlight definitely the dev stream happening on, let me make sure I get the date right. It was August sometime. Oh my gosh, Discord is not loading. It is absolutely driving me wild. This is oh my goodness. Here it is. Okay. August 28th at 9 a.m. Pacific. The description for the event is just Exoversary stream. It's the 3rd anniversary of I Was a Teenage Exocolonist, and we want to celebrate. We'll be hanging out with the devs on Twitch and hosting some cool giveaways. So I'll link to that so that you can check that out in the pour over. I'm linking to the game, The Quiet Year, that Joel just mentioned, the book series, as well as one article I thought was interesting about colonial, non-colonial, and decolonial in video games. This is a blog on game developers, so it's more of there's opinion related here, and I'm very interested to see if you agree or disagree, but just talking about like colonialism in games, decolonialism and decolonization in games, and sort of what that could look like. And then a dev blog, which references a franchise that I loved as a kid, the Princess Maker franchise, which apparently was a major source of inspiration for the mechanics of this game. And so this dev blog also mentions other inspirations. Aww. If you want to just see what caused this game to be inspired. They also mention Long Live the Queen outstanding game. Really fun, where you're trying to like raise a princess and make sure she lives until her coronation as the queen. It's great. And yeah, I guess, is there anything else you wanted to add in terms of like additional resources?
I'm wondering if our old boy Brando Sando with Isle of the Emberdark is going to have something to contribute to this colonialization story here.
I think it will. I wish. Is it available publicly? I think it's only available in pre-order for most folks.
I did the audiobook.
You did the audiobook.
Yeah.
Okay. I will make sure to link the audiobook, because I do think that would be a great supplement, and it's nice to have something to listen to as well. Yes. I think the hard copies are not getting sold until, like, not for another few months, unfortunately, but...
Sorry, everyone. If you're an audiobooker,
you know,
grab an ice cream sandwich, hop in the bath, and enjoy.
Yeah. Divine. Love it. So we'll have a link to the audiobook there so you can listen to it, because yeah, I agree. Great shout. That's a good reference point for this month's discussion. A little bit of housekeeping as we wind down. So in 2 weeks, August 19th, we'll be back with Joel's final official episode and our deep dive full discussion on I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. Again, hopefully since we're moving to this bi-weekly format, I would love if it gave more time for you to gather thoughts. Think about this question that we approached today, where, before you play, if you haven't started yet, or even if you have, like, what is the world that you wish you could create if given an opportunity like this? And as you play, knowing that this is a game, you can't control every instance of what's going on, but who can control every instance of what happens in the real world, right? What happens as you play? And do you find yourself having to compromise or having to prioritize certain things despite some of your ideals? And how does that go? And do you feel like the game is representative of kind of what you choose to do? And does it reflect, I guess, are the consequences reflecting the choices that you've made? I think that's also really interesting in such a choice-based game. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, send them in via email, send them in via voicemail. All the links are available in the newsletter and podcast and playthrough guide. And yeah, you can also just share your thoughts on the game if you'd like. Just anything you'd like. We're here to listen. Yeah. And I think that's it.
Well, do I get to do a thank you for joining us at Geeks and Grounds? Wow,
absolutely.
Thank goodness. Thank you so much for joining us at Geeks and Grounds. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you all about this game. May all of your exes not be colonizers? I don't have a good one for this. I didn't know I got to do one. I'm sorry, everyone. I'll have one for next week.
Yeah, we'll be ready next week. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.